Start your day with Jessica, Mitch, and Ann on WTVY This Morning.
Can the relationship between Monica Lewinsky and her mother withstand the pressures they're both under right now? I'm Craig Rivera in Washington with that story.
Jackie Kennedy Onassis.
How the hell did I get doing a book on Michael Jackson?
And only we have this rare tape. Plus, he says he has the untold story of Jackie's love life and why she disapproved of Diana. Michael Jackson's former sister-in-law drowned here, and he's going to trial for her murder.
I know it was an accident. I was there.
For the first time, hear his version of that deadly night and how he explains the gruesome autopsy report. Do you know who this toddler is? He grew up to be the heartthrob of the Titanic.
Your eyes closed, don't pee.
We have exclusive photos of Leonardo DiCaprio's early years and the reason he got kicked out of, would you believe, acting class and love, Hollywood style.
There will be a certain amount of romantic activity. Are you with me?
And welcome to Inside Edition. I'm Deborah Norville. The grand jury looking into the alleged affair between President Clinton and Monica Lewinsky is taking a couple of days off. Meantime, negotiations are going on with government officials over how much Secret Service agents will have to answer, and Monica Lewinsky is preparing for her appearance. Craig Rivera joins us now from Washington with more. Craig?
Deborah, on Friday, Monica Lewinsky met with her attorney, William Ginsburg, in Washington for about an hour as they apparently planned the strategy in their standoff with Kenneth Starr. But it is Monica's mother, Marcia Lewis, not Ginsburg, who's been described as Lewinsky's closest confidant, now paying the price for possibly sharing in her daughter's biggest secret. It was a week that left Marcia Lewis clearly devastated by grueling questions, and her daughter Monica flying home to be by her side after a 10-day respite in California.
Wonder if they have tortured Ms. Lewis and Ms. Lewinsky quite enough.
Now there are countless questions hanging over Lewis and daughter Monica. Exactly what did Lewis tell the grand jury? Does her story match her daughter's? And what should Lewinsky say when she sits in the hot seat?
Having a mother having to go in and talk about the deep secrets, especially about consensual sexual relations that her daughter would tell her, would have to be emotionally devastating.
Attorney Ricky Kleiman is co-host of Court TV's Cochran and Company. She says that although the law allows Lewis to discuss her testimony with her daughter, she wouldn't advise it.
Whoever goes back next, whether it's mother or daughter, because mother's testimony is not over, the first question that's going to be asked is, did you have a conversation with your daughter? Or did you have a conversation with your mother?
And by questioning Lewis so intensely, Kenneth Starr's team may be doing more than just looking for answers.
It's a warning to Monica Lewinsky that she'd best come in and tell the truth. And it also puts untold pressure and duress upon Monica to see what her mother is going through. I'm sure it's a very clear strategy.
But can Lewis and Lewinsky's relationship survive such stress? No doubt they probably yearn for the carefree, candid relationship they once enjoyed. Susie Wyshek was Lewinsky's next-door neighbor.
You could really tell when she was with her mother, too, that she wasn't afraid to talk back or speak her mind to Marcia.
And Susie's sister, Robin, says Lewis had quite some influence on her daughter.
Because the mother was such a social climber, I think that rubbed off on Monica, and maybe their aspirations switched from Beverly Hills society to Washington political circles.
Now, as Marcia Lewis prepares for yet more questioning, many are left wondering, is this case worth pitting mother against daughter?
Ken Starr and his team would say that what they are doing is perfectly ethical. At the same time, many prosecutors would criticize Ken Starr and say, you don't call the mother unless it's absolutely necessary. This is horrendous to put this woman through this.
By the way, Lucy Ann Goldberg, the literary agent who encouraged Linda Tripp to tape Monica Lewinsky, told Inside Edition that she believes that Marcia Lewis did have full knowledge of the alleged affair. Though it's been almost 4 years since she died, the world's fascination with Jacqueline Kennedy Onassis has not ended. Now April Wilson tells us an author who has written controversial biographies of Michael Jackson, Madonna, and Mick Jagger has now focused in on the last years of Mrs. Onassis' life.
How the hell did I get doing a book on Michael Jackson?
You are hearing an incredibly rare audio tape, the voice of the late Jackie Kennedy Onassis, puzzled over why she was working on a book with the king of pop.
I'm still trying to think of why. Somebody must have told me to go and do it.
She would say to people, what's he really like? What about the chimpanzee and the costumes? She was just as kind of perplexed and mystified as the rest of us.
The bizarre teaming of Jackie and Jackson is only one of the fascinating anecdotes in biographer Christopher Anderson's new book, Jackie After Jack. It's a chronicle of the last third of Jackie's life, and Anderson says his sources were some of Jackie's closest confidants.
A number of people who really were sworn to secrecy now think it's time to set the record straight.
Anderson writes about Jackie and Frank Sinatra having not-so-accidental bump-ins at New York hotspots. And he claims 6 months after Jack's assassination, Jackie had a fleeting affair with Marlon Brando.
Brando wrote about this in his memoirs and was going to include it. And at the last minute, he was convinced to take this information out of the memoirs.
However, the co-author of Brando's autobiography says Anderson's stories are not true. Anderson also goes into detail about Jackie's days earning $50,000 as a book editor. At the time, Anderson was also working for Doubleday.
She stood at the copy machine, and she got her own coffee.
But one of Jackie's fellow editors revealed to Anderson that Jackie's past would sometimes come back to haunt her.
She came by his office and asked for a match. As he's handing the matchbook to her, he realizes that JFK's face is on the matchbook. And he said that there was this flicker of recognition on her face. And for a moment, he was too late to pull it back. He didn't know what to do. And she just had this odd look on her face, and then she took it and lit her cigarette.
Hi, how are you?
Oh, good, I got you.
The audio tape was captured on the answering machine of J.C. Suarez, a book designer who worked with Jackie on getting Michael Jackson to open up for his autobiography, Moonwalk.
Boy, are we going to have to fuel that guy. I mean...
She'd always ask the same question. Do you think he likes girls?
But he was also, I have to say, equally interested in her, and he copied a lot of her gestures and her, the breathy voice and the sunglasses.
According to the new biography, reading gossip about celebrities, including herself, was one of Jackie's passions, and one of her favorite subjects was Princess Diana.
There are obvious parallels, and Jackie saw them immediately. Princess Di is this young woman who's thrust into the public eye. She's married to a very powerful and philandering husband.
But over time, Anderson says, Jackie began to disapprove of Di.
The thing that really rubbed Jackie wrong was the fact that Di began to talk in public. And when she went public with her complaints about the marriage.
Although she's been gone for almost 4 years now, Anderson says the world's fascination with Jackie will never fade.
She really managed to tend to and nurture her own mystique in a way that no one else of this century has.
Okay.
Thanks. See you tomorrow.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Ironically, in the book, Anderson says that Jackie was once the object of a high-speed chase in Paris, similar to the one that killed Princess Diana. But she reportedly told the driver to slow down, that a few pictures weren't worth it.
Up ahead on Inside Edition. 4 years ago, Tito Jackson's ex-wife drowned in this pool. Today, we return to the scene of her death, where her accused killer declares his innocence.
I have never been worried about it at all.
We took in some old junkers we're not that proud of, but we also sold a lot of cars and trucks at Enterprise Toyota, so we're bringing it back.
Through the 28th, get a guaranteed $3,000 minimum for your trade. $3 grand for any old rust bucket. Just think what your good trade is worth. Plus, exclusive of that offer, Enterprise Toyota even has 95 Toyotas from just $79.95.
So do your neighbors a favor. Get that old junker out of your front yard and into Enterprise Toyota for a guaranteed $3,000 minimum.
But hurry, after Saturday, it's...
When Dolores Jackson was found dead in a swimming pool, the rest of the Jackson family always said that her death was no accident. Eventually, someone was charged with her death, and in an exclusive interview with Nanette Barusha, he has now come forward to proclaim his innocence.
I have no qualms about doing this interview. I mean, it's normally a person, if they've been charged with something like that, the last thing they would do is go on television before their trial.
Los Angeles businessman Donald Bohanna is talking about the very serious charge he now faces: murder.
There's nothing to hide.
In this exclusive interview, he agreed to discuss for the first time the drowning death of Dolores Jackson, ex-wife of Michael Jackson's older brother Tito, and the trial he now faces in the case. We spoke with him at the very spot where Dolores Jackson drowned.
I know it was an accident. I was there. I know what happened that night.
The events leading up to that deadly evening began in the summer of 1994. Dolores Martez Jackson, who friends and family called Dee Dee, had been divorced from her high school sweetheart Tito for 6 years. She was a busy working mother, devoted to her handsome sons, better known to the world as the singing group 3T.
I would do anything, girl, anything for you.
By all accounts, she was looking for companionship when she met handsome, well-connected Donald Bohanna. At the time of her death, they had dated for 3 months, and around 10:30 in the evening on August 26, Dee Dee came by for a visit. At some point during a night of heavy drinking, they headed for the pool.
People say, well, she couldn't swim. Well, she was very comfortable swimming in this particular pool. So we were going back and forth and getting the jacuzzi and go back and forth. And at some point in time, I went there and came back, and I got out of the pool, walked around, sat at the end of the table, and she was at the deep end, and next thing I know, she was just going sort of like that. And that's when I realized she was in trouble.
As Bohanna puts it, he dived in, trying to save her, but kept missing her. When that didn't work, he claims he fished her out with a sharp-edged pool skimmer.
Do you consider yourself to be a good swimmer?
I think I'm more than adequate, yes.
Wouldn't it have been more normal to try to save her with your own body if you're a good swimmer?
I tried that, but I had also been drinking that evening, too.
Though Bohanna says he performed mouth-to-mouth resuscitation, he and paramedics failed to save Dee Dee, and she was pronounced dead at 4:36 in the morning. Almost 3 months later, the coroner issued his autopsy report, concluding that Dee Dee Jackson's death was an assisted drowning.
How do you explain assisted drowning? Someone had to assist you to drown. Therefore, it's murder. And also know that not only does she not swim, but she's petrified of the water. Now, once we saw the autopsy report, it sickened us deeply.
I have part of the autopsy report here, and I'd like to read to you what some of this says. It talks about bruises and lacerations, scratches on both legs, bruises alongside both nipples and left upper arm, scratches that look like fingernail bites above the nipples on each breast, lacerations on the chin, left side nose, right rear lobe torn through. Sounds like somebody was beat up.
The facts are that someone was not beaten up. I think we know the answer to why she would have some bruises on her body by using a skimmer. So those questions don't even bother me.
Despite the coroner's incriminating conclusion, Donald Bohanna remained a free man for 2.5 years. But the Jackson family was devastated and refused to let the case fade away.
The boys constantly made calls saying, can't we do something? Isn't there something that can be done? And we kept in touch with the DA until finally Lori Jones in the district attorney's office took a look at the file, reviewed it all, and said this is murder.
Donald Bohanna was arrested for Dee Dee Jackson's murder last March.
When I first heard of the arrest, I was happy. I was happy. I cried, and again, but they were tears of joy.
This makes us feel good that the DA has taken these steps, but I don't feel that we would never be relieved of this.
Lourdes Knapp is Dee Dee's sister, and she's never spoken publicly about her death.
I'm truly outraged that he would try to disgrace my sister's memory by claiming not to have anything to do with her death. Donald Bohanna is a liar.
Today, out on bail, Donald Bohanna stoically awaits his trial, scheduled to begin March 9th.
I've never been worried about this case at all. Unequivocally, I have never been worried about it at all. It's something I have to go through.
Donald Bohanna says that he took and passed a lie detector test. But no matter what the outcome of the criminal trial, Bohanna will have to face the Jackson family in court once again. Katherine Jackson has filed a wrongful death civil suit on behalf of Dee Dee's 3 sons.
Still to come on Inside Edition. The Titanic may have sunk, but ever since Leonardo DiCaprio's been a small boy, his Hollywood career has been sailing along.
We took in some old junkers we're not that proud of, but we also sold a lot of cars and trucks at Enterprise Toyota, so we're bringing it back.
Through the 28th, get a guaranteed $3,000 minimum for your trade. $3 grand for any old rust bucket. Just think what your good trade is worth. Plus, exclusive of that offer, Enterprise Toyota even has 95 Toyotas from just $79.95.
So do your neighbors a favor. Get that old junker out of your front yard and into Enterprise Toyota for a guaranteed $3,000 minimum.
But hurry, after Saturday, it's...
Just the other night, I was sleeping under a bridge, and now here I am on the grandest ship in the world having champagne with you fine people.
Well, Leonardo DiCaprio missed out when the Oscar nominations were handed out a couple of days ago, but it's hard to feel too badly for the young heartthrob. As Stacy Sweet tells us, this actor has been marked for big things since the beginning.
He may have been stuck on the Titanic, but 23-year-old Leonardo DiCaprio's career is definitely not sinking.
He's a really good actor, on top of the fact that he has this sort of interesting, slightly quirky, very romantic kind of personal life that people want to know more about.
And we've got exclusive photos and footage from Leonardo's quirky past, long before he was America's #1 heartthrob. Leonardo, seen here at age 2, was born in Hollywood in 1974 and named after Renaissance artist Leonardo da Vinci.
Leonardo DiCaprio is the offspring of hippies, as he himself has described his parents to be.
Leonardo's parents divorced when he was young, and Leonardo lived with his mom, Ermeline, who early on encouraged her son to act. At age 14 came commercials, including this one for Kraft cheese.
They're for Daddy.
Well, he was Leonard. To me, I think the kids called him Leo.
Meet Gerald Weinsberg. He was Leonardo's theater teacher back in Marshall High School in L.A. He remembers Leo's mom being the driving force behind his acting.
Mother would appear at the door, and we have to go for a reading, and he would be gone for 2 or 3 days.
While in school, Leo's career was taking off. At 16, he landed a part on a short-lived sitcom called Parenthood.
My guess is the first one to go will have to be Little Grandma.
But Leo's extracurricular acting jobs may have gotten in the way of school. Gerald even kicked him out of acting class.
Dropped him from the class because he wasn't there.
One of the jobs that was keeping Leo away from class was the sitcom Growing Pains.
Now, thanks to you, I'm a homeless, hungry dropout.
Alan Thicke was Leonardo's co-star. He remembers Leo being a prankster and doing impressions of everyone in the cast.
He used to do me, at first just behind my back, and then caught him a time or two. But he was good. He's a good mimic.
Leo's film career really took off in 1993 when he was nominated for a Best Supporting Actor Oscar for What's Eating Gilbert Grape. More movies followed, and then, of course, came the most expensive movie ever made.
It's unbelievable to be a part of a film like Titanic.
In Hollywood, Leonardo is